मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं विश्वस्थितः.
So sarvam, all, idam, this, all this, jagad, the world, all this world, tatam, is pervaded maya, by me. Avyakta murtina, in my unmanifested form. Sarva bhutani, all beings, matsthani, exist in me. Cha, and aham, na, I do not. Teshva vastitaha, I do not dwell in them. So all this world is pervaded by me in my unmanifested form. All beings exist in me and I do not dwell in them. So once again, we have to, what we did was rejumbling, some of the words to enable translation and also to make prose out of poetry. This is poetry. This is sage Vedavyasa's poetry. To convert that into prose and then translate it to English. So Bhagavan says, idam, this, what this, all that we comprehend. The Sthula Prapancha, the Sukshma Prapancha, the Karana Prapancha, which is the physical world, Sthula Prapancha, the subtle world, the Sukshma Prapancha, and the causal world, the Karana Prapancha. Sthula is all that is perceived by the sense organs. Sukshma is all that is perceived by the mind. And Karana is all that is perceived by the consciousness. And Bhagavan has made three statements here. Number one, he says, the entire world as comprehended by you is pervaded by me. He uses the word Jagat. Jagati is Ja plus Ga plus Ti. Ja is Jayati, that which is born. Ga is Gayati, that which goes. And Ti is that which stays for some time. So this world is born, stays for some time and goes. That's the cycle that goes on and on and on. And Bhagavan says, I pervade all through a form that is not manifest to your senses and to your mind. That is my Satchitananda Swarupa. And then the second statement he makes, all beings exist in me. Remember, this is the knowledge he is giving us. He has started giving us the knowledge. All beings exist in me. I am the substratum. The entire world is superimposed on me, the substratum. And the third statement he makes, I am not in them, the world. Meaning, I am not affected by the modifications that the world, through this process of Jagati, the 6 modifications, we have seen this earlier, the Shadvikaras. What are they? Jayate, Asti, Vardate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati. Jayate, born. Asti, exist. Vardate, grows. Viparinamate, modifies. Apakshiyate, decays. Vinashyati, perishes. So these 6 modifications, I am not affected by them. I am not part of the world's ups and downs, and I remain unaffected by these changes. And now Bhagavan makes a seemingly contradictory statement in the next verse.
Na cha matstani bhutani pashya me yogamaishwaram bhuta brinna cha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha.
Nacha, actually it is cha, na, and not bhutani, these beings, matsthani, dwell in me. Pashya, behold, me yogamaishwaram, my divine yoga. And then he says, bhuta bhrit, na cha, supporting the beings, but not bhutastaha, dwelling in the beings. Mamatma, myself, bhuta bhavanaha, bring forth the beings. So he says, and nor do these beings dwell in me. Behold my divine glory, behold my divine yoga, O Arjuna. Supporting the beings and not dwelling in them is myself, me. Bringing forth the beings again and again, the cause of all beings yet untouched. So Bhagavan has made a fourth statement here, and that statement is, the beings are not in me. He just said in the previous verse, all beings exist in me. And now he's saying the beings are not in me. So is this a contradiction? That's why Bhagavan hastens to add, behold my divine yoga, behold my divine glory. This implies that all creation are only my Maya. In reality, none of it is there. It just comes and goes. It appears and disappears. And while it is there, it is contained by my yogic power. And what is this divine yoga power? I am the cause for all beings, the divine yoga power. I am the cause for all beings, and I am the supporter of all beings. Yet I am not in them. My will is that which alone projects, sustains, and controls all of creation. So this divine yoga power is Bhuta Brita. Bhuta Brita is that which supports, that which nourishes, that which upholds, the material cause. Remember, we saw that earlier, the Upadana Karana. For example, the clay is the material cause for the pot. With the material clay, the pot is formed. And Bhuta Bhavana, that is also that yogic power of Bhagavan. Bhuta Bhavana, that which envisions and creates, the efficient cause, the Nimitta Karana. For example, the potter is the efficient cause for the pot. Bhagavan says he is both. I am both the efficient cause and the material cause. I am both the Nimitta Karana and the Upadana Karana. However, I do not dwell in my own creation. Na bhutastaha. I may appear as the two Karanas, but I am untouched by my creation. There is a very interesting example in Advaita Vedanta. It is really interesting. Seeing a rope in poor visibility, it is mistaken for a snake. So we mistakenly superimpose the image of a snake, which is illusory in nature. Because remember, in reality, there is no snake, onto the real rope. In reality, there is a rope. But we, through our mind, superimpose the image of that snake onto that rope. Why? Because of poor light. In the same way, we superimpose the illusion of elements of creation on Bhagavan. So in that snake example, if there is total darkness, complete total dark, pitch dark, we would not see the rope. And if we don't see the rope, there is no question of thinking that it is a snake, of imagining it to be a snake. Here, in total darkness or ignorance, ignorance is bliss. When one is not a believer, or let's say one is in deep sleep, there is ignorance. And hence, because of ignorance, there is no possibility of error. Now let's take the other extreme, bright light. Again, we can see the rope very clearly. So there is no question of imagining it to be a snake. Here, knowledge is bliss. Full darkness and ignorance, ignorance is bliss. Light and knowledge, knowledge is bliss. When we truly understand this knowledge that Bhagavan is giving us, in complete knowledge, we know that only he is there. He only is. Everything else is Maya. So the error of mistaking the rope to be a snake happened only in partial light, when there is insufficient light, or if the eyesight is weak, defective eyesight. In that partial knowledge, what happens? We know that there is something out there. There is something. We don't know that it is a rope. But knowing that there is something, that thing is covered by darkness, but not entirely covered by darkness. So something is there. However, the fact that it is a rope, that is covered by not enough light. So because we know that there is something, but we don't know that it is a rope, we superimpose the imagination of a snake on that rope, and it becomes a snake. We substitute that actual image with our own mental image. What happens when light falls on that? The actual thing remains unchanged. The rope was a rope, is a rope, will be a rope in future also. But the imaginary thing that gets uncovered, that imaginary thing, it has not gone away. It's not like there was a snake there and it slithered away when the light was switched on. Let's say it's a torchlight. It has not gone away because it was never there. It was just there in our mind. Only the mind of the observer thought it was a snake. And being in the mind, by the way, that snake, quote unquote, illusory snake, gave rise to all kinds of thoughts and feelings. For example, fear. Oh my God, there's a snake, it will bite me. Then there is increased heart rate. There is sweating. All that happens, both physical, mental, intellectual. The body, mind, and intellect actually goes through the experience of a snake being there, where there was no snake. Similarly, the world in reality, which is not there, creates very real effects on the body, mind, and intellect of the person who is experiencing this world. When we understand and experience that knowledge that Bhagavan is giving us, these mistaken perceptions are corrected. And the associated disturbances which come with these mistaken perception, they also disappear. So a crucial point to note here is that the right knowledge is required to remove the misconception, not any knowledge. For example, if that snake is there and I start spraying Rama, 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 Krishna, 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 it will not run away because it was never a snake. Or if I start sitting there and meditating, let me meditate, the snake will not harm me. Nothing is going to happen. We'll just sit there. So the right knowledge is very important. There was this Amir Khan movie. I don't remember which one. He goes, he has to go on that rope, like a rope balancer, to save his friend who is hanging out there in the real world. And he goes there and he says, Rama, 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 Rama. After some time, it becomes Rama, 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 Rama. Right? So we just go through this foolish prayer of when we don't know. So the right knowledge is extremely, extremely critical. The only solution to figure out that imaginary snake was actually a rope is light. Similarly, the only solution to get over this unending cycle of samsara is this knowledge that Lord Krishna is giving us. That is the only solution. In ignorance, we see the world. In knowledge, we see only Bhagavan. So to recap the four statements, Bhagavan says, I pervade all. This is the same as the rope pervading the snake. Then second statement, all are in me. The snake is in the rope, in the mind of the beholder. I am not in all. The rope is not in the snake. And all are not in me. The snake is not in the rope because there is no snake.